Welcome to another episode of Exploring the Vintage NFT Space with ZeroG. Today, I'm excited to have back with me Blackstar. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, ZeroG, for inviting me again. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, this is one of my favorite reoccurring reoccurring guests. We've been doing this I think we've done it 3 or 4 times so far, and
Yes.
I know it's a fun way to kind of uh, recap the HNFT scene in the last year and just kind of share our thoughts on the market and where things are going and just kind of pulse check and talk a little smack.
Yes. It has been a long time, and I think now the timing couldn't be any better because we are in a very special place in history and in the crypto timeline and the NFT timeline. Yeah.
I agree. I think for a lot of different reasons. I think we've hit a kind of a unique inflection point with crypto adoption, with everything that's gone on in the last year. You know, with all the chaos and all the um you know everything going on politically and everything, but we've seen um like a bit, like, stepping back, it's become more and more normalized and widespread, the whole conversation about crypto and people, normies, discussing it or at least hearing about it, especially with like the Trump coin thing was I mean was and then the guy from Argentina, Malay, like those put it in, maybe not in the best light, but we have crypto exposure and people talking about meme coins and stable coins, and like stable coins have really kind of uh, made gone to another level of maturity, but also acceptance in the legal government sphere too. So I think things are positive on that front, and we need more adoption and recognition for the eventual uptick in HNFTs and to have some more collectors.
Yeah, it is like right now when we look at the market, we have a very firm disbelief about crypto ever coming back, right? And historically, this is a very good sign because when that happened, we always went up only for a year or a year and a half. So we have a capitulation basically. Nobody thinks Bitcoin is going to go up again. Everyone thinks Ethereum is dead because it's at $1,500. And we didn't had any altcoin action. The only thing we had was social media induced meme coin frenzies that are like all at zero, I think, now.
Those were the new version for this cycle of like the PFPs and the NFTs, were these meme coins and celebrity meme coins. Like you said, I think that's pretty much played out. We saw
Yeah.
like so many people jump into um the quote unquote meme coin super cycle.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. It was so, I mean, it was so obvious, right? Because we have been in this market for so long to see
Yeah.
what has actual value and what not. And the amount of people that try to gaslight you into believing that just believing in something would actually like cause it not to go to zero to its fundamental value. It's like the amount was it was very surprising, right? We had this Murad guy, um, and that blew up on X, which was probably also not not natural,
Not organic. Yeah.
not organic, right? We had people like Leonidas who were like very um, yeah, engaged into HNFTs a couple of years back, completely abandoning it, I cannot. I can't speak. That
Oh,
he
we got you.
yes, we completely left, right, to go into some runes, like ordinal, I don't know what, like shitcoin ordinals, meme coin stuff, right? So everyone turned their backs at their, yeah, their aspirations and their like their passions, and to follow meme coins, right? We had artists complaining, oh, now nobody's caring about digital art anymore. Everyone just wants to launch a meme coin. And yeah, this backfired completely, right?
Yeah,
Of course it did, right? A
of
lot of,
course.
yeah, of course. It's the same thing over and over again, and people lost a lot of money.
Sure.
And now crypto's down tremendously, and nobody cares about NFTs. Most of NFTs that were labeled as blue chips are at zero, right? And yeah, and with vintage NFTs, our space, right, relics, we still have a market, right? We still have a market. We still have people that collect. We still have people that trade, and the community is still active even in these times of turmoil and disbelief, which is very exciting, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I remember being kind of astounded that how so many people that like adopted this like meme coins are the future and is going to be like you're going to pay for your Starbucks and um and like whatever the Pepe or something, you know, the Pepe meme coin or you know, dog with hat or whatever. I
Yeah.
remember being astounded and for me I knew that it was hitting a like we were hitting an inflection point where there was so much money, but there weren't like normies weren't coming in. There wasn't like a ton of fresh money coming in,
No, no.
right? But to me, what marked, and it was pretty close to the top actually, was when I saw this like chill guy, quote unquote, meme coin, and it
Yeah.
was the most lame corporate, just really dumb um meme coin. And to me, I just realized that whole market was so contrived and cooked that it was over. Like there was no way it was going to continue because like they had like the corpos had basically templatized and turned this into a a formula, and they were just going to keep doing that until they extracted all the money in the space, and
Yes,
that's basically what happened.
exactly. That's exactly what happened. And everyone that abandoned their passion is now looking like a complete fool, right? And I always speak against this, right? Or spoke against it the same way I spoke against the PFP culture, or ENS numbers, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I've got an update on the ENS numbers. So, uh, I saw on Twitter last week that uh, the four-digit ENS club is down to zero, meaning that you can go and register a four-digit ENS for just the cost of registration now.
Yeah,
So it is officially over.
yeah. Congratulations to anyone who doubted us, right? We talked about this extensively in the last. Was it in the last episode, or maybe the one
I think we've covered it probably on a couple now, but
in a
yeah.
couple of now? Yeah. So yeah, who would have thought, right? It's so I don't know. It's just the same thing over and over, right? You just have to be just apply a little bit of logic, right? And then it you will know where, yeah, where the place to be is, right? But most people, they're so resistant, and they fall for the most obvious, like logical fallacies.
Mhm.
It is amazing. Like even now, you go to the NFT space, right? And you ask, why would I want, or why would anyone want this and that collection, right? Why would I pay for, uh, what are these wizards? Are these like taproot wizards?
Yeah,
Have you heard
yeah.
about
Oh,
them?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, let's
yeah.
talk
From
about those, man.
yeah, yeah. Like let's talk about those because this was a fresh thing. So we had like another PFP collection, right? And I think they minted them 2 years ago or 1 year ago, and but the guy who made them, Udi Wizardheimer, I don't know what
Mhm.
the name is, but uh, he hyped them up so much and created whitelists and everything, right? Just to generate hype and sell them for 20,000 US dollars each. Like I think 5,000 at 20,000,
Mhm.
and people fell for it, right? Some people fell for it. I don't think that he minted out everything from like other people bought it, right? I
Mhm.
think he minted them with his own money, right? Like people did with PFPs as well, just to create the illusion of high demand. And yeah, they have been going. They're going down ever since. I think it was just a month ago or something. But
I
yeah,
didn't, I didn't know the backstory. I just saw some of the hype towards it when they were doing this public sale slash whitelist slash, I don't know, they were doing a whitelist for some of these other collections, and then they were doing a public mint for these. And I was astounded that there was anyone left that would pay. Like they were asking, I think the public, if you weren't on a whitelist, was like zero point 0.2 BTC
yes, yes,
for
yes,
a PFP ordinal, which the other thing I was shocked at is like the original Magic Internet Money guy is really iconic and one of the most iconic pieces of art in Bitcoin. But their execution I thought looked really really bad. I
yeah,
mean, it just, and again,
yeah,
hey, I'm not an artist. I don't know what direction you could have done to like make these like have that spirit but be more aesthetic, but it just didn't really turn out that well, I don't think. So
yeah,
I mean, again, but that's an incredible amount of money was raised in the middle of this bear, and I just don't like. I don't see like what the why you would. I mean, hey, in a year or 2 years, or even like right now, like what? Why would you buy one, right?
yeah,
I mean, I know that Bitcoin dev was involved in it, but hey, I'm not fanboying for like Bitcoin devs. If I wanted to buy memorabilia, I'd buy something from Hal Finney or something like that, right?
yeah. It is. I mean, as if there was not a better investment, right? With
Yeah.
20,000, like what is the upside, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, but yeah, this was one of the things that again was obviously not going to end well, and it it, it's still going down, right?
Yeah, I mean the thing that I think of is I think the last time we talked, the ordinals market for some of the like quote unquote historic ordinals collections, they were still up there. I think back when we talked, Node Monkeys was something like half a Bitcoin or something,
Yeah,
and that's down to like 0.047 as we speak.
yeah,
And I don't see how Taproot Wizards doesn't take a similar um like it, like the Taproot Wizards. I don't even think they're an early inscription number.
yeah,
I don't really get it, right? And maybe I won't, but I it's interesting that this is one of the biggest mints across any chain in a long time, and I was just kind of astounded at how that played out.
yeah. And I mean, I think we will see something like this again
Hmm.
in some form, of course, right? It's a bull market.
Yeah.
Like when the bull market is really hits, then everything, like some of this stuff is going to pump eventually, right? Think about Moonbirds, right?
Oh yeah.
They minted at
Jeez.
2 ETH and they went to 40 ETH in like 1 week. Right? It was a crazy time. So we haven't seen a bull run, right? This was not a bull run. It hasn't started yet. Like Bitcoin doing a 2x, basically, or not even a real 2x, right?
Yeah.
But inflation adjusted, it's not an all-time high, right?
Yeah.
There is no new money going into crypto. There are no new market participants. Like everything, all the people that are here, they have been for the last year and 2 years or 3 years as well, right? It's very far from no sleep season, like from the time where you have to be observant all the time to catch um, opportunities that are coming out of the earth like mushrooms, right?
Mhm.
So for me, uh, we are at the capitulation of crypto. Everyone thinks ETH is dead, and we have some very good deals on our historic assets that are actually turning. Some of them are turning 10 years this year. And with some of them, I say only three collections, right? So
Yeah.
Vogler, Spells of Genesis, and Etheria. These collections they sell either they celebrated or they are going to celebrate their 10th anniversary this year, which is crazy to think about, right? 1 decade old is this whole thing, and still nobody is really paying attention. Like all the art and collectibles experts on the timeline, um, they all seem to ignore it. And of course, we know better how this will eventually unfold.
Yeah, it's really astounding. Like you said, they're like for 2015 collections, um, um, I mean, the amount of discussion and hype around them is I pretty much at zero right now, which you know, one of the things that's astounding is that like to me, like two of the greatest pieces of crypto art across the entire scene that's ever is the FD card and Satoshi card. They're both for slightly different reasons, but you those are available for under, I think, under $50,000 right now, which
Yeah,
both have extremely limited supply. So, like collectors, this like for collectors, it's an interesting opportunity. Um, I again that like if we once we have more demand. Like these are like if HNFTs are going to be a thing, going to be popular, these are going to be, this is like the what is it like the Mickey Mantle rookie card or whatever it is that's iconic in baseball. This is going to be up there with the absolute best of the best. So, and already um, like the Satoshi card is one of the most referenced pieces of crypto art for a reason. So yeah, it's an interesting time, and you can just like for some of the more uh, higher issuance, like 2015 Spells of Genesis cards, you can get for under $1,000, which is uh, really kind of incredible. So yeah, it's an interesting time to see how this plays out. Yeah, there's just been so little hype and discussion. Yeah, I guess like you said, the only money that's really come in the last year into crypto has not been in the traditional way we're used to seeing it in the sense that we've seen a cratering of on-chain activity and on-chain adoption. All of the all of the adoption has been through these ETFs and these institutional vehicles to buy crypto. So it's So as we talk here, I think Bitcoin is around $80,000. But what's crazy is that like just yet last night, the mempool went empty, right? Like you can do transactions for one VSAT a byte. The same thing with Ethereum, like gas went to 1 GUI, is below 1 GUI right now.
Yeah,
Like the actual user, like interactive real user adoption has cratered to essentially zero. So
yeah,
um I didn't anticipate, I thought the future would look much different in that regard. I don't know if we'll see that reverse, but um, to think that you can you know interact with the like some of these most secure decentralized networks for essentially pennies is pretty astounding.
yeah, and it is a sign that like a storm is coming,
Hmm.
right? Because this is not normal, right? This is like
Yeah.
this is the tide, right? There is no water whatsoever, right? And everything feels dead, and until the water arrives, right? Until the liquidity flow arrives, and then it's just a matter of who's prepared the best, right? Who built his canal the best to direct the flow to his to his destination, right? And I think, I mean, we only like we had a couple of collectors joining Relics in the last year or since the
Hmm.
last podcast, right? And we had actually some very big collectors coming in and exploring it and building their collection. And I think this is worth a lot, right? And we had a lot of people that always have been a little bit wavering, right? Uh, Capitulating, right?
Hmm.
Completely going out and liquidating their collection, which is also good, right?
Hmm.
So we want to have a very solid foundation of educated collectors, right? And yeah, this is something that lacked in 2021 and 2022
Yeah.
because everything was so new, and the rediscoveries that they happened in the midst of the bull market, and we had so many like people that took advantage of that, right? Or try to take advantage of that, and trying to deceive people,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
trying to, yeah. So we had a lot of bad actors in the HNFT slash relic space, and now we don't have them, right? They are not part of the of the space anymore, and it will be very hard for them to just join back, right? And just say, oh, now it's looking good, right? Now maybe we can go back and yeah,
Yeah, I
you
agree.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've seen we've winnowed out the people like to your point. I think it speaks a lot to the people that like the new people that are collectors and even whether they're collectors or they're speculators. I think it speaks to their conviction and their foresight to make that risk right now in the midst of again there's no echo chamber right now. This is a very contrarian trade right now
yeah,
with HNFTs. So like you're saying, like there's no hype, there's no um, it's pretty dead. So yeah, but I think it's an amazing opportunity for for people that believe in the future that we see, which is the increasing adoption of digital assets and the proliferation of blockchain, right? The
yeah,
more ubiquitous blockchain is in society across the globe, I think it naturally lends value to the earliest tradable examples of that medium, right?
Yes, and I mean I think it's the most contrarian bet
Hmm.
out there. Like even NFTs,
Yeah.
right? NFTs, they like the most people they laugh at them, right?
Hmm.
And we have to admit most NFT people they are very um special. It's a special type of people, right? And they're not really enlightened or smart or educated on matters of blockchain fundamental technicalities. But fact of the matter is that Relics is it's a niche of NFTs, which is a niche of Ethereum, right? And Ethereum right now is not like it's a niche of crypto basically because everyone thinks Ethereum is dead, and and in crypto itself is a niche, right?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, think of
So
like crypto's a niche. Think of how few people like in crypto ever ever do anything other than hold a coin, right?
yeah, yeah,
Like part of that is due to the user experience and just how, you know, the tooling and all of that stuff and the lack of interest and but yeah, like yeah, it's a niche of a niche of a niche and yeah, it's just really wild. Um you know, on a I was thinking about something else that I've done in the last year since we talked is I commissioned a painting from Pepelangelo and I submitted it as a fake rare and I just got that accepted about a month ago. So
yeah, awesome.
yeah, I'm super stoked about that. I had that done as a 21 supply and I'm not distributing that for the foreseeable future. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
hold on to
yeah.
that.
I met Pepelangelo in real life on a couple occasions,
She's
and
one of the nicest people I've talked to.
yes, yes,
She's
yes,
she's super legit.
yes, and she's very smart as well, and
Hmm.
she's also she has very good work ethic,
Hmm.
right? And she's one of the very few artists and people that I really respect.
Yeah,
In
likewise.
yes, so uh, it's awesome to see that you also appreciate her work and her as a person as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know, I interviewed her. It's been a couple years ago, and I had always liked her work, but I I was kind of astounded that, um, however, I think I dumped some like altcoin or shitcoin bags that later mooned, but I was just astounded that I could basically was able to get a custom painting made from her because
yeah,
I like she's so underrated, and when you think about the evolution of crypto art and memes and meme art. Like she's one of the like she's like a foundational OG, and she does great work. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm still waiting to get it back from the framers. I should get it back in a couple weeks. I can't wait to hang it on my wall.
yeah. She also has a very interesting backstory,
Hmm.
like and life story as well. So it is everyone who's listening, please check out Papalangelo's work and everything related to her because she's awesome. Yeah, and yeah, and but a lot of people, right? A lot of people like we are now in this niche of a niche of a niche, right? Um, but these are the kind of people that get rewarded, right? The most. These people get rewarded the most. We have been into this for like I've been into old NFTs for over 4 years now, right? And Relics, NFT Relics is 3.5 years old. And like I'm not gonna quit, right? This is not going to stop. This is not going to end. And crypto is not going anywhere. It doesn't matter what.
You know,
what is going to happen, right?
you
So
know, what occurred to me, Black Star, is that as we were talking, is that you know, like one of the things that made NFTs explode during that bubble in 2021 was the democratization of the technology, allowing people to mint and publish art. And I can only like so that's one aspect. I can only see like it just occurred to me that like these currently in like the high end art NFT scene, like of what's left in NFTs, is like this cabal of people like these I don't know. It echoes the like the traditional art market that is very cliquish and doesn't really seem to have a correlation to talent
yes,
or relevancy. And I can only see a future where just as the technology itself democratized access, I can only see that like the over time the this real assessment of the true contributors and pioneers are like it goes hand in hand with our the HNFT thesis is that people like Pepelangelo and you know I think their I think their work will just become more and more appreciated over time and some of this hype driven stuff will get washed out, you know.
yes, 100%. Like the things we see in the digital art slash NFT like establishment we have, right, on Twitter, or X, it is a cabal, right? They always talk about the same artists, right? And these artists, they came from, I don't know from where, I don't know what the criterias are that
Mhm.
they always selected and talked about, and they push each other all the time. When they talk about Grail collections, right?
Yeah,
They always talk about the
yeah,
same stuff, right? They
they
they are
do.
yes, they are inconsistent with their evaluations, and they ignore the true pioneers. So if you try to correct them, or if you try to say, well, this is not true, um or there is a different project that did it already, they will just ignore it, right? They are not interested in the truth, right? They're interested in establishing and maintaining a narrative that they control. That's all. That's what a cabal is, right? And they try to sell you stuff, and they use fancy words and text walls, try to convince you that this is a grail, when the true grails, and we know this, ZeroG, the true grails are in our hands, right?
I'm yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they are in our hands, and it is. I don't think that it is very smart to try to force an established canon into onto a space that is so immature, right, and so young. Like it is just naive. Like who's like why are these people not thinking it through? Like we have the blockchain. We know what is first and what isn't, right? We know what is the actual pioneering um project and what isn't, right? So there shouldn't be any kind of discussion about that. And yeah, I think this is interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the those narratives in the more popular digital art scene are very contrived and like you said, you know, people like people pumping their bags, you know, essentially, you know, like I guess the other thing that happened in this last year is I was able to get one of the rails I've been wanted for a long time. I didn't never thought I'd be able to get. I was able to get a Satoshi card myself, and uh, like the like when you compare a Satoshi card to something like people are still like pumping Fidenzas and all these other like like the Gen Art stuff and just these,
Art
that's,
blocks.
yeah, yeah, well, and what is crazy is that I was able to get a Satoshi card for the equivalent of like I think at the time was like one or two Bored Apes. Like people are
Yeah.
still paying a lot of money for Bored Apes.
Yes.
Um, you know, I don't know. It's again, it's truly astounding if you value this stuff. Again, like you have to either you have to really resonate with this as a collector or as a speculator. But I was really amazed and really honored to be able to pick one of those up. So um, I don't know. It's yeah, I like things like that are the real grails. And the supply is so much more limited too. Like they a lot of the stuff that's hyped as has much higher supply. I think and they're part of these broader ecosystems too. I guess speaking of, I guess just to catch up the audience too, I think I saw since we talked last, I think a week or two ago, if I'm correct, I think Yuga sold off. Did they sell off their all of their gaming stuff or just I know they sold off the Codas. I don't know if they sold off the entire gaming division, but anyway, that's another kind of um duh moment that like at the peak of the NFT season, I think that was one of the biggest mint ever was the their other side metaverse thing, you know.
Oh my
They
God.
I
Yes.
think I don't know if it was just a component of that or the entire thing, but they've pretty much taken an L and admitted that um I mean that's not really going anywhere, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, they are at, let me see, $300, right? They minted for 10,000 each.
Yeah, and there's nothing to do with them either,
Not nothing.
I mean, like that was the whole thing is it was like guaranteeing this utility for, what I thought was amazing is that they raised all this money to develop a game, but they didn't have essentially a hard vision for the game, and they didn't have like a team that has executed a game before, which, you know, like game development is like it depending on what you're doing it can be a very capital intensive project and just because you spend the money and you develop a project doesn't mean that it's a good game either, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like there's very few games that have staying power that people would want to play. Like, most games people play, they play once, right? If you look
yeah,
at your Steam library, 99.9% of your games you'll play through once if you get through it completely, and then you'll never touch again, right? Where and you have a couple that you'll play, you know, that have kind of staying power that have replayability or whatnot. But um, I guess that segues into the other thing um, I stumbled across the other day, which is uh, you know, we were talking offline about this. So I had the Jonesing. I played Minecraft back in the beta years and years ago, maybe 2011, 2010, something like that. And I hadn't played in years, so I don't know. For some reason, I was interested to fire it up, and I wanted to try the ray tracing stuff. And I don't know, it's hard to. I couldn't figure that out yet. But so I bought another copy of it, and I fired it up. And I remember when Microsoft bought Minecraft, yeah, they paid it was in the neighborhood of $2 billion, and I wondered what the idea was because like people will only buy Minecraft so many times, right? Like I've bought it like two or three times because the accounts changed over the years, and I'm not a regular player. But I lo and behold, I fire it up. And I guess additional context to listeners is Minecraft is, if not the absolute number one, it's maybe number two in terms of the most popular games for kids and young adults. It's a mammoth gaming property, right? It's it's enormous. So lo and behold, I fired up and I was trying to set this up for RTX and they've monetized everything. So like you have like the customization options to put like skins for your playable character and like items and like map packs or skins for the maps or like everything is monetized like just like you know you know digital collectibles like we would anticipate being, like DLCs. So like it's just another indication that like the younger audience is already primed and understands, digital collectability and the value of digital assets. I think it's just good. It just uh it's gonna click for the younger generation when the idea of you know scarce tradable digital assets in the future. I think it's like it'll be a lot more of a no-brainer than people my age and older, right?
Yeah, definitely. And we have like this digital monetization is it's only going to accelerate, right? We have Pokemon, the Pokemon company issuing like they released the trading card game but as a mobile game,
Mhm.
and they have like you can buy digital booster packs at ATMs in Japan to yeah, to get rare digital cards, right? And they are, this is all NFTs basically, right? Only that they are not really scarce, right? So you don't have a real like you have a real market, but it's not the same thing, right? I talked about it, I think in my first interview. I talked about um like rare event Pokemon that you could only get at a physical location, right? At a
Yeah.
real life event,
Mhm.
and you would download it, and you would get it onto your cartridge, but I mean, it was special, right? It had like special one of a kind
Mhm.
properties, but you could always just copy everything and use a generator and uh, like a terminal to copy it, right? You could
Mhm.
just cheat it, and it would be identical, and there was no way to know which one was is which, right?
Mhm.
And it is, I mean, if you don't know this struggle, and if you don't know this problem, of course it's going to be hard to have this firm belief in NFTs. But if you've been there, right, and if you love games and like digital games, video games and everything, it is it is so like of course the oldest objects are going to be like the grails of this revolution that is going to come, right? This is so obvious. So for me, i'm just I'm just being patient right now. I have everything that I always ever wanted. uh I would never, I never thought that I could accumulate so much, right? Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, it's the truth, right?
It is true.
And there are still so many good. I mean, I bought a Gox card 3 weeks ago for $300, right? And that's nothing.
And that's one
That's
of the
nothing.
it's one of the most iconic 2015 Spells of Genesis cards.
Yes,
There's just
yes,
it's a stunning image.
yes, and it has like it depicts a very like one of the most important events in crypto history,
And it's only like
right?
300 supply surviving. It's not
Yes,
like it's not like we're talking about a 10K supply thing or like
no,
8 cards or something. I mean, this is, I don't know, it's bonkers.
yeah, 300, like 300 is nothing, right? 1,000 would be nothing, but a lot of these cards, like we had a lot of SOG events, right?
Yeah,
burn events from Everdreamsoft, and like some cards they went below 100, right? And it was just such a gift for anyone that attended, because we all know what's going to happen again, like in 2021, right? Right now you can get a Mooncat for 200, right? I think
that's
this is
incredible.
also, yeah, I think this is all-time low. I think it wasn't lower than that. Actually, they went to 1,300. I think last year, the end of the last year, somewhere. So they crashed from 1,300 to 200 again. So this is also generational buy, and I mean it's just only it's only about having patience now, and I'm not worried about anything at all. I'm just happy with the stuff that I hoarded.
I feel the same way, Blackstar. Like I feel like so lucky and honored because I was over this bear market the last few years. I bought things that I just knew I was going to be priced out of forever. Like I got the FD card and I got the
Yeah,
Satoshi card and I even got like the um like the scarcest of the 2015 cards is the Shapeshift CD. I got that
yes,
too. I mean, I was like, uh, I don't know. I just have a hard time imagining it'll be that easy in the future. And this is all happening. So not only do we have the digital like like familiarity with the younger generation in terms of basically paying for digital properties or assets, but
yeah,
also so I was listening to this guy talk about like we're in the midst of a really big bull market in like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Oh, or is it Yu-Gi-Oh or is it Pokemon cards, like the physical cards? Like it's in
yeah,
this huge bull market right now where like if you go to in the US, if you go to like a physical Target or Walmart, apparently as soon as they unload the cards, like people are fighting to get them and they're
yeah.
instantly sold out.
Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Pokemon. Okay. Yeah, so like like this whole collecting thing is it's like a part of human nature too. So we have these younger generations of collectors as well. I Anyway, it's just an interesting like you said, I just feel really lucky to have been able to acquire um as great a collection as I have. I never thought I'd be able to do that. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing. Like we're in the bigger picture sense, like macro level, like things look rough around the world. Like it looks like we're heading into, I guess, a bit of a recession slash, I don't know, it's hard to predict what's going to happen in the US, but at least we're, if not already in one, we're going to be going into a recession this year. So, I know a lot of people, I think that's also playing into some of the NFT stuff where people are probably selling and just hunkering down financially in order to protect themselves. Um, but so I'll be doing similar stuff, but I'll keep collecting as I can. Um, it's really frustrating to see all this stuff so cheap and not be able to just buy it all.
yes, definitely. And I mean the situation on a global scale, and with global I mean Western.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm,
um, like in Germany, it's not looking good either, right?
mhm.
There is a lot of turmoil and uncertainty, and um, like working a normal job is not really worth it anymore, right? You live from paycheck to paycheck basically. So, but it is still manageable, right? And I talked with Stable Cats the other day, and we agreed that I would rather live in the woods and eat I don't know, eat worms than sell my relics bags, right? There is no chance and I'm going to sell now after 4 years of holding, right? No chance. And I mean, I the bull run, or like the bull run that didn't happen, but the way that crypto is right now certainly is, and it feels different than last time, right?
Mhm.
The last two bull runs, I mean, every bull run was different from the other one, but this one is a little bit more depressing. Yeah, it's a
It's
little bit
it's
more.
it has played out completely differently. Like you said earlier, traditionally we would have a alt season, and there was just no alt season this time. Like people that were bag holding you know, altcoins, they just either didn't move or got destroyed relative to BTC.
Yeah,
So, even the privacy coins, they didn't really move appreciably. I mean, I think Monero is still around $200, which is
yes,
the
yes,
top tier privacy coin. Uh,
yes,
like the alts just didn't get a bid, and I think that goes to the fact that like these aren't users that are buying, right? Like you know, human people aren't buying. It's institutions that are just hoarding the supply and taking it off market. So,
yeah. It is like Monero was. I think that the purpose of Monero that it is stable, right? It's
mhm.
basically a stable coin. But yeah, we didn't see an all-time high with Ethereum. Um, we are basically at all like lows. ETH to BTC lows of BTC ratio are so low right now. Everyone is calling for ETH death, and so it is definitely different. But I still think that we will have a bull run this year, and I think that we will have an NFT run either in Q4 or in Q1 2026. So that's what I think is going to happen.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see it. I could see it later in the year. Like we need a catalyst for people to get interested in NFTs again. Um, Again, I guess the worrying counterpoint to that would be if we don't have people buying, like actually interacting with the chain, um, at a human level, like are we going to see the same adoption of NFTs that we used to see in these bull runs? So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm optimistic all the time.
Mhm. It's like I said, I just feel lucky that we had the opportunity these last. I didn't realize moonshots were so cheap too. Uh,
Yeah,
but I didn't realize that um, there's they're like I didn't realize we were going to have this long of a bear, but I'm lucky that we've taken advantage of it. So yeah, I'm just kind of I'm going to keep doing my thing, and my goal has been to build up one of the best like overall collections, and I've done really good so far. So you know.
yeah, me too. And I think I will come out at the top as the king of relics, owning all the grails and everything, and just outperforming everyone, and setting the record straight of the history of digital objects. But yeah, relics is relatively active. I mean, on Sundays not so much, right? But as soon as the market moves, people flock together, and yeah, we have become a very strong and resilient community, which I'm very very proud. I'm very proud of.
When you're the king of relics, are you going to rule with an iron fist, Blackstar?
I mean, people they have already accused me as a dictator, right? So I think nothing can go wrong from here anymore.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely going to be fun to see how this plays out. Yeah, I mean, you've already done an exceptional job building your, you know, collection. I mean,
Thank you.
yeah, it'll be interesting. There was something else I was going to bring up, but I can't think of it right now. Is there oh yeah, there was one other kind of like meta that occurred and is kind of died out again in this last year was this kind of like so we had meme coins as a huge thing. The other one was like the AI token meta that kind of blew up, and some of those got like crazy big for a while too, and those have kind of died off. What are your thoughts on the AI token craze?
Well, so AI is like the last time we spoke, AI wasn't as crazy as it is now.
Yeah,
Like the amount of progress that was made in that time, like it's insanity, really. Like I use AI every day. I use ChatGPT every day for everything, right? Everything that comes to my mind, I use ChatGPT, and it is so useful. It is so you boost your productivity by 1,000, right? It's insanity, really, that we can witness this kind of like this step of human evolution, basically. And yeah, with these AI coins, I have no idea. I think I missed that one completely. But in a bull run, typically there will be multiple narratives, right? It's not only one or two narratives that are dominant or have all the attention, but it's always multiple narratives that are exploding at the same time, and then new narratives coming in. And so I think AI might come back, right? Meme coins come back, not necessarily the ones that are at zero, but yeah. So get ready for it around. I mean, maybe Decentraland
yeah,
parcels are going to come back as well. You never know.
yeah.
You never know.
I've been playing with some of the AI tools in the last for the last few years, but yeah, to your point, yeah, the progress that's happened recently is astounding for things like image generation, but also for just like normal things like getting help with coding or troubleshooting. Like it's like dramatically better. I remember just a couple years ago for doing like the most basic like programming stuff, like it could spit out something that would be, I don't know, the equivalent of a few paragraphs, but you'd have to manually double check all of it, and it would usually be like some pretty bad mistakes, right? And now it has the context and the ability to actually help you out with like much more complex projects, and does a much better job at keeping track of stuff. So there's some projects that now that we're speaking of it, that I need to kind of take another look at and see if I can pull off now that these AI tools have gotten better. So
Yeah, it is. I mean, the the thing that is also like keeping me in relics is that it doesn't matter how good the AI is, they will never be able to replicate a 2015 NFT.
yeah. Hmm.
So even if it's digital, right? There, it's impossible to recreate a an NFT with an older timestamp. It's not possible,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah,
this
exactly. Like
this is this is crazy, right? To think about.
it like one of the things we talked about in our previous episodes is how we had entered kind of like one of the final stages for democratizing access to, or like the ability to create new NFTs at scale. Like we had the one of the final things was the AI at the time, in terms of being able to generate, AI slop artwork or whatever, however you want to call it, right? Like any normie can create art quickly, easily, essentially for free. And we have the blockchains have gotten fees down to the point where, again, minting is essentially free. The other thing I thought was interesting, and I haven't had a chance to really play with this part of it yet, but one of the narratives is, which makes a lot of sense, is using AI as an interface for blockchains itself. So I remember like early on when I first found out about Bitcoin, when I first downloaded the wallet and did some transactions, at least back then, I was like, how are you going to expect a normie to like understand this, and like what are you talking about? Cutting and pasting these crazy long strings and like in order to send and receive money. I was like, I don't know. It seemed kind of, it seemed hard to imagine, grandma doing that, right? But
Yeah.
the idea of having these AI agents is basically a human compatible interface for crypto seems really like a compelling idea, whereas you can just use human language um, to interact with this agent, and it does all the heavy lifting behind the scenes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that with was it Banker bot or something, right?
Hmm.
Where you can like connect your wallet or set up
Yeah.
a wallet, and then you say, "Oh, buy this and that for that
Hmm.
amount," and then it would respond or buy or anything. So
Hmm.
this is very interesting, right? Um, AI is going to transform the world in a way that nobody really knows,
Yeah.
right? Like this is unprecedented. Like even for me, I never expected AI to become such a like this is just magic.
It's the
It
other
is
thing
magic.
it's astounding that, like we're so early in it, that in the corporate areas that I work at, like, um no one's really talking about it to the extent that they should, in terms of like the impact this is going to have on, you know what I mean? Like it's so, no, no,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Until everyone loses his job,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Oh
Well,
my God. Yeah,
Blackstar, I just hope this stuff takes off before I end up under, living in a box or something.
yeah, yeah. Me too. Hey, you're always welcome to join me and Stablecat in the woods, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah, we'll have a little camp together then, man.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it it is. I'm so glad that I never learned how to program, right?
Mhm,
Or like all this, or web design or whatever,
mhm.
right? Or like graphic design, because everything is going to become obsolete, right?
Like it's like
Everything.
they've measured the performance of some of the newer AI models for, like, it's PhD level for in a ton of these different areas, and like we were talking about, like for basic coding and web design and all this other stuff, it's really good now, where, as long as you know, like, kind of, you still have to understand some context and understand some fundamentals, but as long as you know some basics, you can, and I did this for this bigger project I was tinkering on for a little bit. I need to revisit, but the as long as you have a little bit of an idea of what you're doing or what needs to happen, you can step it through. I don't know. It's amazing. Like, you're like a normie like myself, or maybe I wouldn't call myself a normie, but someone who's not a professional programmer. I have access to this AI tool that can help, instead of me paying 50 or $100 an hour, and I can just tinker away with it at my own time, and I kind of learn more about what I'm working on as I go too, because you can use it to explain the code to you and like the languages. Like to your point, like one of the projects I was working on, I never used Python before. And instead of having to learn Python from scratch, I can just kind of learn as I go as I'm working on the code as it is. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, every day I wake up excited, right? I wake up excited because it's like when I was a child and I used Google the first time, right?
Mhm.
Like this eureka moment of just knowing that this is going to transform my life completely. Because I always try to be as productive productive and efficient as possible. And I mean, I learned Japanese in 5 months with ChatGPT.
No way.
Yes, so I can have casual conversations with native Japanese people in 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 their language without any help. So it's so good for learning languages. It's crazy.
I'll have to hit you up about that offline. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah. So I couldn't believe it myself because maybe I have a talent for it, but the way you could just learn languages, right? And also for translations or anything, like you don't need textbooks, you don't need language teachers, nothing. You don't need anything of that. Just use ChatGPT, and uh, yeah, you just have to know what to ask, right? What you need, and it will just give you everything. It's the best teacher and assistant that you can imagine. So yeah, that's one of the things.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The other bit I thought, well, since you brought it up, we're talking about AI. The other thing I think is interesting is, we both agree that this is like really transformative, in terms of what you could do with it. The other thing I think is interesting is at a corporate, like megacorp level slash market level, it looks like we might have seen like a bubble pop, or at least an indication that the capital investment might be cooling down, where we saw so Nvidia's one of Nvidia's big partners is CoreWeave, and CoreWeave had this IPO about 2 weeks ago. And um to me they seemed like kind of like an overhyped business, in the sense that it's basically like a data center services that specializes more in AI, for like helping companies stand up. If I'm understanding the business correctly, is basically it helps companies that want to have their own AI racks, set up in a data center. It helps them, they manage it for you, and help coordinate some of the resources and cooling and all of that stuff. And they tried to IPO it like a, I don't know, something like crazy, like a $23 billion market cap or something. And anyway, they had to get it hit the bottom of the range, and they had to get propped up by Nvidia itself. So, and we've also seen some of the bigger providers like Microsoft, which is a big partner of OpenAI, bought into OpenAI, has cut back on these the crazy data center expansion plans. In part, I think due to the innovation that the we've seen come out of China with DeepSeek, where they've made much more efficient models, hardware wise, uh, than than was available from OpenAI. And ironically, OpenAI is closed. They don't actually release anything open source anymore, and it's actually these Chinese models that are still open source. So like DeepSeek. So it's just been interesting to watch this play out in the this whole AI space too. So
Yeah, yeah. I never touched DeepSeek, but this sounds very interesting.
yeah, it's like I think OpenAI has kind of caught I'd have to dig into it more, but I would assume that they've caught back up because DeepSeek is was open source. But yeah, they surpassed the OpenAI's 4.5 model, and there you're able to run it on much smaller, like much easier to run resource, like smaller servers. Or training, and training too, I think was the other big deal, is it took much less GPUs to train. So
Yeah.
it's an interesting. I guess the segueing into the other thing I was thinking about is we've seen we've seen a major shift this year in quantum computing, and NVIDIA is a part of that narrative as well. So we've seen the some breakthroughs in scalability and in processors for quantum computing. Microsoft released a statement, was it a month or two ago, about a new processor that they have. IBM and IBM and Google have been making progress there. Google made some big announcements, but to me, one of the biggest turns is that NVIDIA realized that the that quantum computing can potentially displace some of the use cases of their GPUs for this, their corporate consumers. So NVIDIA has started to get involved in the quantum computing space, which to me is a serious turn, in the sense that NVIDIA has been a relentless monster at executing over the past, as long as I've followed them, since the original GeForce days. They were able to outcompete um, everyone else, in part due to their quick ability to execute and iterate. So I think quantum computing is going to get a lot more serious. So again, the context being that we also have BIP 360, a proposal, a Bitcoin improvement proposal for uh, integrating quantum secure address types. So it's an important thing to keep note of. That's in terms of the risks of owning these old digital assets. I consider that one of the largest. Is that if Bitcoin and Ethereum don't adapt in time, the quantum computers would be able to essentially break the encryption that allows you to keep your private assets to yourself.
Yeah.
The key to ownership, essentially. So
Yeah. Well, that would suck, right? So,
yeah,
but I hope that, yeah, I think quantum resistance is on Ethereum's roadmap.
it is. Yeah. And like, as a positive, again, air quotes positive for Ethereum, is they're much more centralized, and it's easier to have for them to set a direction for Ethereum. So I think it'll be easier for, I haven't looked into the technical details of how hard it is technically for them to do it, and for them to pull off major engineering work, I think it's easier for them to do that than it is with Bitcoin, with everything's been centralized in this kind of like, you know, how it is with Bitcoin. In order to get anything approved, it's all, anyway, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this BIP 360, I've taken a cursory overview of it, and it looks like a good first step. Again, like I think it would be a real tragedy for everyone, all of humanity, if these people, these naysayers, poo-pooed the doing the engineering work to protect Bitcoin from this, what I see as an imminent, development. And how can you say that quantum computers aren't going to continue developing and develop faster? We've gone from a single qubit in 2017 or 2018, and now we're in the hundreds of qubits, and we also have white papers on how to scale to hit those points that would crack the encryption that Bitcoin and
Mm.
Ethereum use. So I think it's serious. So I would hope um, that the Bitcoin ecosystem, doesn't sleep on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe a quantum computer will be something. I mean, like a nuke, right?
Yeah.
Always regulate, overly protected and regulated, and only the government is able to
Well,
use them.
that's one of the problems is that so one of the largest investors in historically, well, not just in quantum computing, but right now, one of the largest investors in quantum computing is the US government, and that
Oh,
also operates quantum computers,
oh,
which which is hostile to crypto in the big picture,
yes,
right? Um, I think ultimately the goal of most Western governments is to, I think they're potentially intentionally trying to crater their national currencies in order to replace those with CBDCs. I think that's
yeah,
part of the game plan. So one of the risks is that even if publicly accessible quantum computers aren't there, privately owned ones, whether it's China or the U.S. or the NSA or whoever, if they develop that first, they have the ability to one, they could start stealing funds, cracking keys and stealing funds, or they could just basically destroy Bitcoin as an alternative currency to further their agenda of a flight to CBDCs.
yeah,
So, originally the like a lot of the Bitcoiners back in the day, we used to talk about it being, this being a currency that was, more resilient than any nation state. And I think, we've seen with a lot of the moon boys and the speculators in the last, 8 years or whatever, there's less discussion about that. But it is a serious threat to the existence of Bitcoin, right? Like,
yeah,
you go back and you look at history and what the U.S. government has done and deployed privately. Um, they've always had computing at a scale that is almost unimaginable. I remember talking to a guy that uh, so I knew someone who, let's say he was close to the NSA's um, deployments, put it that way. And this is back in the day when like virtualization was a big thing and enabling computing to scale, blah blah blah. And back then, like I think this was like the vSphere like 5.5 days. And the size maximum size of a cluster would be something like 50,000 servers that would then you'd use to host other individual workloads or virtualized servers. And I know that they were running up against those limits back then, which is you know enormous amount of computing power. So it's crazy.
yeah. Well, let's hope that before that happens.
We need BIP 360 at a minimum, or another competing. I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything competing, and we would need Counterparty to adopt that signature scheme as well, which I don't think
Okay.
would be a big deal, right? Like
Okay.
adding a signature scheme, I don't think would
Yeah.
be crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, I kind of took us off on a detour there.
Yeah, but
Uh,
it's very interesting, really, really, because I never really had any idea about. I know it was a threat, but I never went in depth. Right? It's still a topic that is
it's
it's new to me. Right? It's very
yeah.
technical,
I
but
think what's very dangerous about it is that many in the Bitcoin, like the Bitcoin developers and these old school Bitcoin guys, they poo-poo it because back in the day, like in 2019 or 20, again, like the the scale of what was available and the scale of development was so much smaller. Like they've done these surveys where they ask people in the like researchers, professors, people in the quantum computing area, like they've asked them in a survey, when do you think that quantum computers will be able to crack this type of cryptography? And the last time I saw a survey, which I think was either a year and a half ago, it was something like there's being like I want to say like 20% of them thought that there was a decent likelihood that it would happen in 5 years. So,
Yeah.
and again, the rate of change and development is accelerating. Again, we have more money pouring in. Like when Microsoft and Google and the DoD are and now the world's largest mega corporation, Nvidia, are getting serious about it. I think poo-pooing and saying that this is 20 years off is irresponsible because it's a risk reward thing. So right, so if you're wrong, and let's say that it is 20 years out, well, what will you have done by preparing and implementing this ahead of time? You will have wasted a little bit of time, and we will have added an additional address scheme, right? But if
Yeah.
in the chance that you're wrong, you potentially lose everything, right? Because it takes in order to roll this out, not only do you have to do this upgrade to enable this address type, people need to move their funds and assets to the addresses so they're not
Mm.
vulnerable anymore, right? So it's not like everyone is automatically protected. Most people
Yeah.
will need to move funds, right?
Fuck.
And again, you know how low the TPS of Bitcoin is. It's, you know,
Yeah.
you need to have a buffer of months to have enough transaction capability to have people to move assets.
Yeah. Even when, like, even if the majority is
Yeah.
going to do that, right?
Yeah, I think there'll be a probably, and there's discussions right now. Different people have different thoughts about how they want to handle the coins that haven't moved, that won't migrate. Some people want to, like, for like example, Satoshi's coins. Some people want to slash those in an upgrade, and other people don't. You know, like like what I one of the problems I see is that you know like the current emergency plan that Ethereum had, that Vitalik posted, is that once they detect once they detect a quantum attack has happened, well, there's no way to tell 100% that it's happened, right? Like it looks like a valid transaction. So anyway, I think it's a very serious subject, and I try and keep on top of it because again,
Yeah.
the consequences are so um, dire. To me, it's the biggest existential risk to these HNFTs and to crypto at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is true, and it's very important that everyone is aware about it, and I wasn't really that aware, so I will definitely lay my focus on it in the next couple of weeks to just, yeah, be informed, right?
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah. So I kind of took us out on a tangent there.
Yeah,
Is
no
there anything
problem.
else? Yeah. Is there anything from that you thought of you wanted to cover, or anything that's happened in the last year you want to talk about?
um I don't know. I think on a personal level, I feel more balanced, and I feel more like I'm not as anxious about the future, I would say. um so I would say my like the more people.
And why would you say that? Like, what do you think? Why do you
I
think
don't
that
know.
is?
I don't know, because when I look back 10 years ago, and the stuff that I thought about how the world is going to change, and how I navigate through it, and I look at me today, I would say that I have done it in a very good way. Like,
Mhm.
I would say that I was successful in that regard, because I met, like, HNFTs. Only it's not the only risk I took, right? Like, it is, if you if you buy this, if you collect these things, right, it implies a lot of things about you as well, right? So someone that goes into depth and also takes risks and everything, And so for me, I made life decisions based on my capabilities of deducing the future, right? Or predicting what is going to happen. And I have I've grown more into believing my judgment. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm not as worried as I was, for example, 5 years ago, right, or 4 years ago. I remember when I was when there was no NFT hype, right, and everything was pumping. Everything was pumping except NFTs, and I was like, maybe NFTs are never going to pump, right? Maybe this is just maybe I set my bet wrong, but and I sold some, right? I sold like Mystic Axes and everything, and it turns out that I was absolutely right about my analysis, and yeah, so now it's not going to happen anymore, and wherever I am, wherever I get, wherever I settle down, I think I can use this kind of ability to just yeah, to become successful in that regard, not only in a monetary sense, but just in a life sense. So I think this is what I learned this last year.
Well, that's really interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's great to get to that, you know, that confidence.
Yeah,
I was reflecting actually the last couple weeks off and on too that you know, like, hey, I've made some like tremendous mistakes and along the way, but yeah, in a similar sense that you know, like throughout my career and all this other stuff, I've done a pretty good job at navigating and staying ahead of things as they come down. So yeah, I'm like you. I feel really confident in you know, and what I've done and like, you know, this you know, the vision I have for the future. Again, as long as the quantum computing stuff doesn't catch me, but you know, catch us by surprise, I think, you know, I think we've got a like, I don't know. I think it's going to be a tremendous ride if it plays out the way I think. But you know,
yeah,
even if everything blows up, I can while it would be a tremendous blow, I can accept that and move on too, right? But
yeah,
I just can't see a future where other people aren't as excited and wouldn't be as um, how would I put that? Wouldn't want to own these assets as much as I do. Like
yeah,
one of the things I think is interesting is people, you know, because the price isn't high, I don't think people really, I don't know, they don't really recognize or talk about how special some of these things are, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. It is always the price,
Yeah.
right? The reason why the cabal, for example, they accept the Nakamoto Pepe, right?
Mhm.
The only reason they accept it because the price in the market is so high, they cannot ignore it,
Yeah.
right? So that's why they say it's so special, blah blah blah. If the Nakamoto paper was at 10,000 instead of 100,000, right?
Hmm.
They wouldn't give a shit, right? They wouldn't give a shit about it. And it's the same with all the other stuff, right? It is most people in investment and especially in NFTs, they are trapped in circular reasoning,
Yeah.
right? So they think, okay, this NFT is popular because it's no, this NFT is good because it's popular. No,
And the
it's good because it's priced high, right? It's
and these
expensive.
popular people are bag pumping it all the time.
Yes. So, but you have a high price. That's why it's special, and it's special because it has a high price,
Yeah.
right? So that's the reason, right? Or why is it this NFT good, right? Because the artist is popular, right? So why is the artist popular? Yeah, because the NFT is so good, right? So it's a self-serving rational. It's a fallacy, right? And and this is what made people lose everything in the last cycle, right? I don't know how people can fall for it, but the majority, I would say 95% of the NFT space is still like that, right? Oh my God, it's like people want to buy expensive things, right? They want to flex. Yeah, but why do they want to flex this one, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah, people are buying it. Like, but what? Why? Like you could I could sell you anything for a high price,
Yeah.
right? That doesn't mean that it's a justified price,
It's
right?
funny. I ran into someone that was like in the market for ringers, and I knew someone who was looking for like, or I heard about people looking for fidenzas, but I knew someone who was looking for a ringer. And it's interesting, like again, when you put it that way, of all the like of all these collections, why would you choose ringers or fidenzas or like why would you pay, $100,000 for or $1 million for one of those? Like there's like generative art is I mean, as a medium, like there's essentially infinite possibilities, right? Do you really think that fidenzas or ringers are really the apex of where that's going? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, again, I'm not a connoisseur of that market, but I don't I think there's been a lot of cool like smaller stuff I've seen than those. I again, but those are, you could do that or a Nakamoto, right? I mean,
Yeah.
pretty easy choice for me.
Yes. Of course. Of course. Everyone that is like educated and passionate would understand it, right? All the other people, they don't really care, right? They just want to be part of a club, right? They want people that say that celebrate with them, right? Oh my God, right? Such a grail, congrats, blah blah blah. Some people are so lonely and so miserable that the the appreciation they get from buying a cartoon monkey for thousands of dollars is worth it for them, right?
Well,
That's just the truth. It's the truth.
it
I
is.
was at I was at all the NFT events, right? I saw it with my own eyes. I really don't want I don't want to be an asshole, but it's true, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. The other one, remember when mutant apes were like flooding the Twitter timeline? Like people were buying like mutant apes to
Yes.
flex and then to like, network and everything. The other one, I'll look it up while we're on here. A few months ago I noticed that Azukis were still like worth money. It's the craziest thing.
Yes, Azuki's. I'm still waiting for them to go to zero so I can just buy one and
Yeah, I wonder how
flex.
much money they have left for their market making that's propping up the
Yeah,
price. They
yeah.
so as we speak right now, the floor Azuki is 2.5 and change ETH, which is about $4,000.
Wow.
Um Again,
Yeah,
and like even if you like PFPs and even if you like that style of all the I don't think the artwork is that compelling. And again, like,
yeah,
like I'm sure you can find some indie artists that or art that's anyway just interesting.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we have like little pudgies at 1.25 ETH.
Yeah, those blew up. I guess that's another thing that blew up this last year is pudgy penguins.
Pudgy penguins, yeah.
Geez, those things went
Ah.
bonkers. There's a Relics member that was trying to pudgy pill me before all that happened, and I was like, just because I'm pretty I'm pretty like focused on my lane. I didn't join in, but congrats to him for making bank on that. He was buying a bunch
Yeah,
of the mini ones too.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you know, hats off to for him seeing the vision there. I never really
Yes.
I still don't really understand the like why those popped versus the other ones. They went on a monster run.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's because of the guy, like Luca Netz is his
Hmm.
name, right? And
Yeah.
he's a serial rugger, right?
Hmm.
So he rugged several NFT projects and
Hmm.
coins. So he made millions of dollars, right? And then acquired Pudgy Penguins, and maybe that's why he pumped. That's how he pumped it, right? And he has a very large history of scamming people, right?
Okay.
So there's like a whole documentary about him.
Oh, okay.
Uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then of course he launched his meme coin, the Pudgy meme coin,
Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot about that.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and this one is going down only.
Let me pull that up. It's funny. That was one of the, it was neat that they allowed like um, um, a lot of people to claim that. I claimed,
Yeah,
I got like $100 and I insta dumped it. And
yeah,
that has been, yeah, it's been straight down since release. It's down
yeah.
to, um,
99% basically.
here's what's crazy though, which again shows how like this meme coin thing is like it's still got more to go down. Like theoretically, like the Pingu, the Pudgy Penguins token has a market cap of $300 million, right?
Yeah,
That, it's insane. Like,
yeah. More than the whole relics market.
yeah, exactly. Like I for again, maybe we will see a collection do this, but um I have a hard time imagining like going to pay for my Starbucks or McDonald's or whatever with Pingu token, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah.
maybe we will though. Again, like hey, I completely missed the you know, didn't have the vision on the collection. And I mean again, I think for a while didn't the classic Pudgy Penguins, didn't they hit like 20th or something? It was
Yes,
crazy.
yes, yes. 30, I think.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
so just a monster run. That was one of the probably the biggest of the year
yeah,
when you
yeah.
think about it.
Definitely. Unexpected as well, but I cannot hold this stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like it's just impossible for me. Like I can't, I just can't, right? I cannot buy NFTs that I'm not believing in 100%, right? And have execution risk and like a dubious founder.
Hey, I
It's
mean,
just
like, what happens to Pudgy Penguins if this guy gets caught up and gets arrested on like doing some crazy stuff? You know, I mean,
yeah, zero.
I- yeah, I would imagine it would be it wouldn't that wouldn't impact favorably upon their price.
No, no, not at all. Yeah. So I mean, I'm looking at Node monkeys, right?
Yeah.
They went from like zero point 0.2 BTC to zero point 0.9.
Hmm.
Now they're at 0.05. So yeah,
I mean, and I have to admit, I think those are the art is cooler or more interesting than like those Taproot wizards. Those just
yes,
cringe. Oh,
and they are also just like
yeah.
copycats of the original one.
Yeah, exactly. It's very I don't know, it and the way they did it was just so it just looks really bad to me, you know.
Yeah.
But well, man, we've kind of we've jumped is there anything else you want to cover? We kind of went on another segue there.
Yes, yes. But I mean, it is important, right?
Yeah, it is.
If we are going to look back at these kind of podcasts, right? Because we are going to have one where we are going to celebrate,
Yeah.
right? Um, we are going to look back and talk about these things, right? ENS and ENS, yeah, right. Because of Saudis, right? Number plates, guys. Numbers are universal.
Numbers are universal. That's my favorite.
So, so this is it. It is all important, right? It is all
Yeah.
important. It all contributes to the cause or to the thesis, right? And how we navigated through these times. It's going to be very, very interesting in retrospect.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, again, if I'm, I could be smoking crack, but I see a future where, mooncats and sogs and all these assets are going to be very hard to get. And again, I think for normies, it would be aspirational to own a single, like, you know, whatever it is, whether it's a
Yeah,
tile or a
yeah,
2015 SOG or
yeah.
cat or
A
three
single
SOG
one.
or
Yes.
Ethereum or any like there's so many cool projects out there to choose from. And I mean, how can something like a 2015 like the first gaming tokens be, at least for like a what we would think of as a gaming project with or commercial gaming project with Spells of Genesis. How would those, be affordable in 10 years,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's certainly been a lot of fun. Yeah, man, it's been too long too. I really enjoy our conversations.
Yes, yes. Me too.
Man, it's been a wild ride, and I appreciate the community we have in Relics and being able to talk smack and I don't know, it's a neat community, so that'll also be interesting to see how this plays out for again if in the future too.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I certainly appreciate the you joining. I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording.
Thank you, ZeroG, for inviting me.